It is Bronze and Modern Gods. I'm John, and that is Tinkerballs.
Tinkerballs is now he's now a part of the show.
He's in a little baby Bjorn, like a kitty sling. What's happening?
Hey, keeps him calm.
Oh, that is adorable. Hey, if you want more Tinkerballs, and who doesn't, follow us on Facebook and Instagram at Bronze and Modern Gods. If you like seeing Tinkerball every week, you know to hit the like button, you know to subscribe, you know to hit the notification bell, all that stuff. This week we have our hot book of the week. We've got our underrated books of the week as usual. And our topic is our favorites from our personal comic collections, the PC. For the longest time, Richard, I did not know what PC meant. I was like, why are people talking about their computers when they're talking about their comics? Personal collection. Dirty. So let's get things started, Richard, with our hot book of the week. What is it, sir?
Our hot book of the week is Amazing Spider-Man number 300, specifically the 9.8 newsstand.
Oh, boy.
Yeah, it's the first appearance of Venom, which is very topical given the new movie. It is a huge Spider-Man key. If you're talking about Copper Age keys, this is the Copper Age key to own. This book is hugely sensitive to condition. 9.8s are under 5%, about 5% of the census. And it's because this book has, the odds of this book surviving the 30 years and being in pristine condition are pretty rare, given some of the challenges it suffered throughout its the production of the book.
So you picked this because there was a sale of a 9.8 newsstand this week on Comic Link. Why don't you tell people what it sold for?
It sold for $20,138
during NYCC.
Yeah, and I forgot to look up with the buyer and seller's fees for this thing, but Comic Link made a fortune on this particular sale.
Yeah.
And this is in contrast. The non-newsstand, the regular 9.8s are going for a mere $7,000 to $8,000.
Is that all?
Yeah, use them coasters.
Yeah,
So it's a huge premium for the newsstand edition, and it's because out of that 5% of the census that are 9.8s, probably it's a real small percentage of those are actually newsstands. So it's a pretty rare book.
Yeah. Now. I don't even know what to say. This book came out in 1988. I mean, it's not like it's from the 40s or 50s, but man, it shows you demand and supply. Sometimes, even if the supply is plentiful in comparison to, say, I don't know, an Action #1 or Detective 27 or even a Spider-Man #1, the demand far outstrips it. People want this friggin' book.
Yeah, there's 25,000 of these on the census at this point. So it's not a rare book per se. The rarity comes into this lofty 9.8. There's actually a 10 9.9s out there too.
Wow.
If those ever start to circulate, they're going to bring some amazing value or amazing prices. But yeah, this book I have a hard time justifying 20,000. I mean, the last sale for this book, as listed on GPA, was $4,500 in June of 2020. The problem with this book and a lot of books that CGC just does not call out newsstands as a variant on their labels. So they're difficult to quantify because you can't search the census to determine how many of a particular newsstand version of the book were sold. So it's tough, but yeah, $20 grand could buy you a nice, ASM #1. Which I think potentially has a longer term sustained value. But again, if you're talking about a book from 1988 and from the late 80s, early 90s, it's hard to find another book that has the kind of value that this book has.
Remember when we were in our early 20s and we would hear from older collectors like, I had that first appearance of Spider-Man, or I had that first appearance of the Fantastic Four, and I gave it away when I was a kid. I can't help but remember managing the comic shop that you used to come to and buy books and unpacking the box from Capital City Distribution that had Amazing Spider-Man 300 and me putting them out on the shelf like, doop-a-doo, just another week. And I remember it. And I'm like, wow, if I had only just taken a stack of them and put them away. I don't know. I'm also the guy that sold an almost complete run of Venus. So don't listen to me.
Yeah, there's stories and pictures on the internet of people who have like a short box full of these.
Yeah.
Yeah, I mean it wasn't a rare book. It was a keystone book because of the transition from the black costume back to the red and blue. But other than that, I mean, it was just another book.
Yeah.
So I don't know. I for a certain generation of collectors, this really is a valuable book, but I don't know if it's $20,000 worth of value.
Yeah, I mean, I remember it as being, oh, that Todd McFarlane guy who used to draw Infinity Inc. is drawing Spider-Man now, and he's ripping off Michael Golden's webbing, and he's ripping off Art Adams' style, and now I'm like, oh, geez, wow, those shows what I know, crazy. All right, let's check in on Tinkerballs. Is he still there? Is he still sleeping?
No, he ran off and is doing some other kitten-related thing.
He's very busy.
Yes.
Busy Tinkerballs. All right, it is time for us to hit our main topic this week. We thought about it. Richard came up with a good idea. You guys always ask us what we like, what we collect, and we try to share that as much as possible. And those episodes tend to do really well. And I'm not going to mention the letters N, F, or T the entire episode. We're going to talk about the favorite comics from our personal collections. We picked a few out just to show you guys, and we want to hear about yours as well. So let us know in the comments what you have or what you're looking for still. And my first one, it's really not going to be any big surprise to anyone who's ever followed this podcast for any amount of time. It is Yellow Claw #1. I finally got it, people. It's 6.0.
You had a lot of help. A lot of people really wanted you to get that book.
Tons of DMs. I put the word out. Tons of DMs. It was appreciated, but it was also like, yeah, I saw it. Thanks, everybody. But I kind of got inundated. If you ask for help from this community, you're going to get it, which is great. CBCS 6.0. I scored it on eBay for $2,749 earlier this year. There have been no GPA reported sales of a 6.0 since 2013.
Wow.
But this is an example, Richard, of when it rains, it pours. The minute one appeared, two more appeared. And I had to make some choices.
Uh-huh.
I got all three of them.
That's not a bad way of you also didn't mention the significance of Yellow Claw.
Yeah, it's first of all, it's a book I've owned several times in my collecting career, and I like it because issues 2 through 4 are actually written and drawn by Jack Kirby. A lot of people don't know that. He did not do issue 1. Joe Maneely drew it, and it's also issue 1 is the first appearance of Jimmy Woo, who is a favorite character of mine. He's the leader of the Agents of Atlas and the new Agents of Atlas, if you want to go there. We saw him appear on WandaVision. We've seen him in the Marvel Universe. If/when Agents of Atlas finally happens, I am sure this book is going to shoot up even more. I did sell the other 2 copies after some rehab, some pressing, some cleaning. To pay for the 6.0. So it's a good example of getting some undercopies, being happy with an undercopy for a while, selling it, and financing the one you want. Just an extremely tough book in any grade. It's funny to hear me say that after 3 of them came to market last year.
No, it's funny how that happens, where you look for a book and look for a book and look for it. It happened to me for Young Outlays #6, the Art Adams cover, the 1 in 10 variant, which I love that cover. I looked for a year for that book, and all of a sudden, bingo, 3 copies of it were available, and you get to pick. So that's great.
One even came to the market on eBay probably about a month ago. I got an email alert in the morning, and I thought, all right, I'm just going to buy this one and rehab it and sell it too. But it was gone by the time I rolled out of bed and clicked on it. So people are still out there looking for it. I see the notes. What your first one is. Again, not a big surprise to anyone who follows this podcast.
Yeah, I thought about that because none of my choices are big surprises because I like to talk about the books I like, right?
Yep.
So #1 on my list is Fantastic Four #5. This is the first appearance of Doctor Doom.
Oh, look at his cute green mask.
Yeah, I was on the hunt for this book for a long time. I went out on 2019, right?
Yeah, it was 2020. It was January
2020.
2020.
Okay, you're right. It was January of 2020. Went out to visit John. We went to the California Comic-Con. I asked every single vendor there about this book because I brought a chunk of money with me, and I was determined to get this book. And no vendors had it. Fortunately, I ran into the awesome Golden Age guru who happened to know somebody who was at the convention who had a copy, and we struck a deal. And this book is awesome. It's a part of my permanent collection. You will pry it from my cold dead fingers. Yeah, so it's a classic Fantastic Four key, first Doctor Doom. I paid $3,700 for it in 2020, which was
in cash in the middle of a crowded floor. I just want to point that out. And I was like trying to shield with my body, you know.
You know what? The thing is, I had a bank envelope full of hundreds, and I am counting it out to the guy one at a time, and I literally had 3,700s in that envelope. So it was the perfect amount of money for the book. Well, at the end, I didn't have any cash anymore, so it wasn't a problem.
I'm surprised you didn't get stopped by TSA on your way there.
There are 1,895 on the census. There are no 9.8s. There are a few 9.6s. The GPA, the 90-day average for this is 8670. The last sale, though, was a little bit over $10,000, $10,200. So it's definitely appreciated over the past year or so. And frankly, this is just appreciation I think that all classic Fantastic Fours are taking advantage of with the rise of all of these Silver Age keys and value. Fantastic Four #1, X-Men #1, etc. So I see this book really just going crazy when we have Doctor Doom in the MCU. It's not if, it's just a when at this point.
This book that you bought, this particular copy, has increased in value over 250% in a year and a half. My 401k, which I'm super excited about, has appreciated 8% in the last year. So next time the wife complains about you spending money on comic books, point these things out to her. She doesn't complain, does she?
No, she does not. She appreciates my hobbies and my interests. Yeah. It's me that has a problem sometimes spending, this kind of money on, I try to make the hobby fund itself, and it's difficult when you've got these kind of big books, but you have to spend the money when they are available. You can't. So there's some books you just have to bite the bullet because you may not see them again for a long period of time.
I'm going the opposite way. I have a nice little bonus coming up at the end of the year, and I'm thinking about what to do with it. And the Susie Orman in me says, put it in the 401k, put it in Roth IRA, don't touch it. The John Hughes, who knows what's going on in the market part of me, looks at it and goes, you know what? I have no particular love for Wolverine, but I should buy a Hulk 180 and a Hulk 181 and just hold on to them for 5 years and see what happens. And I kind of think I might do that.
I think it's a valid choice. And actually, given the recent investment of $500 million into CGC, I think that Wall Street also sees the potential value of collectibles as an investment vehicle. It's hard to see investing in certain keys like Fantastic Four #1, #5 here, those not paying off at least 20% over the span of a year. It's difficult.
I've always been such a conservative investor my whole life. I've always been very, mutual funds that are, backed by the government, all this crap. And now I'm like, let's go nuts. Who knows? Speaking of going nuts, Oddball. You guys know I love the Oddball books. Yellow Claw. Well, how about Scooby-Doo #1?
Scooby.
This is the first appearance of Scooby-Doo in comics. It is just a notoriously hard book to find in any grade. I got this in an online auction last year for $800. It's a 4.5. It was not a 4.5 when I received it. Let's just say that. A little bit of CPR minus the C. I didn't need to crack it. But I did. It was a raw. I did resuscitate it quite a bit from where it was. I think it was probably a 3.5 when I got it. I got it pressed up to a 4.5. Proud of that. Weirdness going on in the market with this book. If you look on completed sales on eBay versus GPA, they don't match. GPA says a 4.5 sold last month for $825, which is, $25 over what I paid for this raw. So, okay, not good news for me. Not a great return. However, if you look at completed sales on eBay, there was a 4.0 sale in August for $1,500. So I don't know if it didn't get reported to GPA for some reason, or if it's not a legitimate sale for some reason. You be the judge. I may have overpaid, but this is a definite hold. I'm not getting rid of it anytime soon. Again, it's a book. I didn't grow up loving Scooby-Doo. It wasn't a favorite of mine. I didn't have to, I gotta sit. I mean, I love the theme song. Theme song's amazing. Just amazing bubblegum power pop.
Right.
But, other than that, I never, I kind of was a little too young when it premiered. And then when I was in that prime Scooby-Doo age, they had Scrappy-Doo, and everybody hates Scrappy-Doo. So don't even get me started. So this is one of those books that's kind of an investment. I bought it at the same auction, just as a teaser, at the same auction that you bought one of your books.
Yes, you did.
That's coming up later this episode. But first, what do you have next?
Again, no surprise for anybody who's been watching this podcast. I actually announced this one of our early episodes. I forget which number it was. It is Ultimate Fallout 4. This is the newsstand print. If you take a look at the barcode says Black Panther. The reason why is they reused in the system. The Black Panther series had ended at issue number 17. So rather than enter a whole new UPC code into the system for a 6-issue miniseries, they just used they continued the issue number and barcode from Black Panther, and that's why it says Black Panther there in the barcode box. How
does that book exist? A newsstand edition in 2011 that you got. It's a 9.0. Did you press it?
I had it professionally pressed, actually. Yes, I did. I bought this raw off of eBay. I had been looking for one, and this book is so rare in that it comes up very, very infrequently. I actually looked at GPA, and GPA has only 7 sales since 2019.
Wow.
Of all grades, 7 sales. The GPA for it was was 3,500 for one sale back in October of 2020. There is no listed sale here recently. I gauged the value at about $7,000. That's kind of where I put it.
How rare is it?
There are supposedly less than 100 copies verified in existence of any grade. Wow. So yeah, it's incredibly rare. I paid $962 for this book off of eBay. It made Comic Tom, the sale did, because it was a record for that book. And as I said at the time, my reserve for this book was over $1,100. I was willing to go over $1,100 for this book, just because they show up so infrequently, and I wanted it because I have, with this book, I have every single variation of Ultimate Fallout series, from all the versions of number 4 to all of the variant covers from 1 through 6, and all the newsstand covers from 1 through 6. And there's a convention cover. I've got them all at this point.
Well, you don't have them all yet, because Tuesday, Vivi drops the NFT. I said it.
Yeah, I'm going to have to be there.
Wow. Okay, I have to ask, when you bought it off eBay, do you think the guy knew what he had?
At first, and it's very interesting because at first the guy listed it, and I immediately approached him and offered him, because it was an auction and had no bids on it. I offered him $900 for the book, straight up. He had, I think the opening bid for it was 300. He declined because he said he had another offer from someone else,
Mm.
and he thought the best way to handle the situation was to let the auction run its course. So I appreciate that he didn't, that he had multiple bidders, and so he took that route. So at first he didn't know that it was there was a significance to the newsstand.
Mm.
Me, I had gotten to a habit for probably about 6 months going to every single eBay listing, and I got to the point where I could recognize from the thumbnail the barcode and the difference between the regular direct edition and the newsstand edition. So I picked it out. He didn't. He in his listing he did not call it out as a newsstand.
If only we could use our powers for the good of humanity, Richard. Imagine what we could do.
So yeah, it was he didn't realize the significance of it, which I thought was interesting. And it's still there are newsstand that come up on eBay, which are usually, again, I could just look at the barcode from a distance and tell. They're usually people who don't know.
They think it's a UPC and they go, "Oh, it's a newsstand."
Right.
Yeah.
Exactly. And they list it. One just went a 9.8 just sold for 800 some odd dollars.
Mm-hmm.
Called out as, I'm sorry, it wasn't a 9.8, it was a 9.6.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, it wasn't a newsstand, and I'm sure the person who listed it got some flack about it.
Yeah.
But yeah, they're super rare, and I'm just excited to have it in this collection.
I don't blame you. That is a good one. All right, here is my gem. You'll have to pry it out of my cold dead fingers book. It is the first appearance of Captain America in the Silver Age, Strange Tales 114. Oh, no. What? It's not the first appearance of Captain America? What? Well, technically, kind of, maybe it is Captain America on the cover and in the story fighting the Human Torch, but it's not Steve Rogers. It is D-list villain the Acrobat disguised as Captain America.
Wait, this predated?
This predates Avengers 4. This was a little test run to see if people would respond to Captain America's return. In fact, on the last page, after the Torch takes off the mask and reveals it's the Acrobat, there's a little caption saying, "Well, we're sorry it's not the real Captain America. Would you like to see the real Captain America return? Send us a mail and we will consider it." Well, guess what? 4 short months later, you got this. Ba-ba-da! Avengers 4, the true first appearance of Captain America in the Silver Age. This is this is a CBCS 8.5. Our friends at We Can Be Heroes are going to hate me for saying this. I bought this for $4,500 from them right at the start of the pandemic. And I thought, I'm overpaying at the time. Well, now 8.5s are selling for $8,400. So I've seen the value nearly double on this book. Good luck getting it from my greasy, grubby hands because you're not going to get it. It's gorgeous. I love this book. I keep it hidden. My house is completely fortified with alarms, 2 killer cats that will attack any intruders. While we're at it, I also got the second appearance of Captain America in the Silver Age, which is Fantastic Four, number 25, just the classic Hulk versus Thing cover.
Excellent.
Yeah, just a great throwdown. Had to get this as well. So those are my Cap appearances. I've got some Captain America comics from the 40s that, I like them, but not as much as those. I like Silver Age Steve.
So you're not interested in like Cap 1 or?
Oh yeah, sure. Of course, but I want to sew up all the Silver Age stuff first. which I kind of have. Tales of Suspense 58 and 59 I've got now. Cap 100. So, with Cap 117, First Falcon, I've kind of got all the keys covered. So that's why I've been dipping into some Golden Age with Hiram from Hiram's Collectibles. I got that Cap 73 from him. I wanted that Cap 74 he was selling, but I got a house I got to pay off, stuff like that.
Yeah. There's some books that are just unobtainium. You're just not going to get them without some significant sacrifice.
But I can see your next one kind of along those lines. This was your grail, man.
Yeah. All right. This next one, John mentioned earlier, there was a heritage auction.
No, it was a Bullock auction.
Oh, sorry, Bullock. That's right. It was Bullock.
Mm-hmm.
Bullock auction going on, and he and I were kind of paying. He reminded me it was there because I forgot, and so I was kind of following it as it was going along, and then he picked out a particular book that he knew that I would be interested in. It's hard to see here.
Oh, it's gorgeous.
Yeah, this is Marvel Family Comics #1. This is the first appearance of Black Adam. Now, this is a book that I never even thought I would have an opportunity to own because they're just so rare. And this book showed up on the auction, and it had initial value. It was raw. I believe it was $1,800 was the starting bid for the auction. And so I had to, I'm putting my thinking cap. Okay, so what am I going to cap this out at? So I put a cap of $3,500 for the book. Okay. I totally did not factor in the buyer premium that Bullock charges, as well as the taxes.
We did an entire episode about it.
Yeah. So the auction goes, and I'm excited. We're watching the prices, and it was me and another bidder, and the bidder the price got to $3,500, and the opposing bidder backed out at that point. So I got it for $3,500. Well, that's kind of a gimme price because on top of that $3,500, there were $800 plus of taxes and fees.
Mm-hmm.
So it really came out to about $4,400 when it was said and done, which, I was like, it was easily the most expensive book that I've ever bought as a raw. It showed up, after I bought it. The scariest part with raw books is how is it going to go from the seller's hands to my hands and survive the journey? And it came packaged pretty well. I have to give it to Bullocks. Yeah,
I bought a bunch of stuff from that auction from Bullock, and they even shipped me 2 long boxes of
that's right.
Stuff, and it was packed really, really well, almost too well. It was annoying.
No, it was the book got here safely. I immediately I don't know how we looked at the book. The book looked really good. It had slightly rusted staples. There was just a hint of rust on them, so we didn't do a humidity chamber on the book.
Mm-hmm.
So we sent it into CGC, came back at 3.5, and I paid, like I said, $3,500 or $4,400, depending on how you look at it. This book is just really just hard to come by. There have been no 3.5 sales in the past year, or on the census, really. There is 139 total on the census. There were 5 in 3.5. The closest, okay, let me back up. In May of 2016, there was a 3.5 sale for $1,900,
mm-hmm.
which obviously really isn't applicable. The closest, there was a 3.0 in July that sold for $11,000.
Nice return on your.
Yeah. So yeah, it's a book that's appreciating, and I have to think once the Black Adam movie comes out next year with Dwayne Johnson, the Rock, I think this book is just really going to go to the stratosphere.
You made a great deal, dude. Yeah, I even told you when we were both kind of kvetching about the fees. I was like, you still gotta steal.
Yeah, I do. I think so too. It's just such a hard to come by book, and it's another one of those we talked earlier about. Sometimes you just have to jump in because an opportunity presents itself and it may not present itself ever again. And this is one of those opportunities. I don't think I have not seen another Marvel family come up that I thought was something in my price range.
And people hit you up all the time trying to get you to sell yours.
They
Hi,
do. Yeah. Hi, Eric. Yeah, there are people who are interested in the book again because of its rarity, and it's just does not come to market very often. And I think people either are big fans of the Shazam and the Marvel family, or they are looking at the prospects of investment for the Black Adam movie. From what I've seen of the dedication that The Rock has put into making the movie, I'm really excited about the prospects of it. I think it's going to be a great movie, and if so, that value of the book could double.
Yeah, I hear he's really working out. All right, it is time to move on to the time, I don't know, in 1988. I'm going back to Amazing Spider-Man 300 because 1988 was, you know what? I can't do math. It's the 25-year rule. Oh, but
Oh, well,
segues, they're just getting sloppy again. They're getting sloppy again, Richard. I'm slipping.
But this is an interesting choice. This is a very interesting choice.
Rarity. We're talking rarity, how tough books are. A 25-year rule this week goes back to 1996, 25 years ago, with Twisted Metal 2. This was a 16-page giveaway comic that was published by DC based on the PlayStation 2 game of the same name, Twisted Metal 2.
Yeah, brings back memories.
Awesome creative team for one of these little promotional giveaways. Jamie Delano and Phil Hester with a Duncan Furgado cover. Wow. Only 100 copies of this book supposedly were ever printed because they had a contest, some sort of high score contest or something, and you had to send away for it. Only the lore goes, who knows if it's true, only 50 people actually qualified. And then some other people wrote in asking if they could have a copy, and supposedly Sony sent it to a few people as well. So who knows how many out of that supposed 100 are actually out there. I can tell you there are only 4 copies on the CGC census, with the highest being 2 copies at 9.6. The most recent sale recorded was for a 9.0 in March of this year for $2,430.
Wow, that's amazing. I mean, there's a lot of interest in these comic book video game crossovers. Nintendo, there's a lot of interest in Nintendo, for example. So yeah, if you happen to have been playing this game and got yourself a copy of this book, you probably don't know how much it's worth.
No, I have to think it's the scarcity and the nostalgia factor are the drivers behind the price. I have to wonder though, Twisted Metal is no longer an ongoing concern as a franchise, like Mario or others like that ilk. So I wonder if they had kept that franchise going, if it would be even more insanely sought after.
Yeah, that's an interesting question. I think Twisted Metal, though, for people who grew up in that era, has a lot of, the name itself has a lot of power.
Yeah.
So I think there's a lot of nostalgia driven value for that.
All right, let's move on to our underrated books of the week. Richard, you go first. What do you have here?
This is a repeat pick for me. It is Shuri #1 from 2018.
It seems stuck in a loop.
Yeah, I try to update my collecting hobbies based on updates of information, right? So this is the first solo series for Shuri. Like I said, I picked this book before, specifically the second print for this book, which I still think is the best play here. What really has me revising my interest in this book is, I don't want to spoil anything about the What If series, but Killmonger was involved in the final episode from that show. And let's just say that his actions kind of eliminate him, at least in my mind, as being a replacement for Black Panther. First of all, there's all kinds of hoops that you'd have to jump through because he was killed at the end of Black Panther, at least as far as we know. he died at the end of Black Panther. But Black Panther, to me, is a character who has to fit into a larger world, specifically, potentially, a future Avenger. And while Killmonger is definitely brave and resourceful, I think his agenda kind of eliminates him from that Avengers tier, and puts him more into someone who's looking after his own particular interests. So if you eliminate him, the most obvious character to replace Black Panther is Shuri, his sister. So if we see in the Black Panther 2 movie coming up, her being put into the role of Black Panther, all of her keys, and you're already seeing the keys starting to trend upwards. I see these keys just really skyrocketing, and for some reason, this particular book is still undervalued. In the GPA for 9.8s, or the 9.8s are selling for around $249. Second Prince is selling for $225, which I'm completely surprised on. And there is a really nice Scotty Young variant. I am not a huge Scotty Young fan. I think his style is something you need to warm up to, and I've never warmed up to it.
Cloying.
Yeah, but this cover is nice. I have to admit, I like it. It's going for $300 for the 9.8, and if I came across one, I would definitely pick one up. There are the census is pretty top heavy. There are 109 9.8s out of 163. I see that number going up if she is actually confirmed as being the next Black Panther. So that 163 could easily double, because I don't think this book is necessarily in the first print rare. You can still pick the book up for about $40. So think about it. If you pick up a book for $40, a 9.8 candidate, get it slabbed. Right now, its value is about $250. If after the announcements it's $500, look what you've done for your $40 plus, let's say $40 slabbing fee investment. So definitely something I think that it warrants picking up when you see it. This is one of those books when I go to conventions and I'm going through long boxes, I'm looking for books like these. I'm looking for those $40, those $20 books that have recognized value, and I can see them converting to something of a higher value within a short term.
There have been a few reports from gossip sites about Letitia Wright being spotted in Atlanta filming the Agents of Wakanda series. Is it a series? Is it a movie? I'm not quite sure what Agents of Wakanda is going to be. Is it Disney Plus? But will she be the next Black Panther? Disney's sticking by her, apparently, despite some controversy. I'm not going to get into it. Just Google her name and you'll see what I'm talking about. So I do think Shuri is a good pick. If nothing else, just her first solo title. She's going to be around for a while, the character in the MCU for sure. So good one. My underrated book of the week is Machine Man #9. Not because it's really valuable or because they're spec or because it should be more valuable, just because my favorite artist of all time is Jack Kirby. And Machine Man #9, I don't think people realize this, it is the last Marvel comic ever drawn by Jack Kirby.
Oh, wow.
This came out September 26, 1978, according to the Comic Reader, 1 week after Devil Dinosaur #9, which was the other final Kirby issue of the Marvel Comics age. After this, Kirby left Marvel to go work in animation. He was actually doing storyboards for the Fantastic Four cartoon. And there was a Silver Surfer graphic novel by Simon & Schuster that Jack did with Stan Lee that came around the same time, but I'm not counting that. That's not a comic book. That's a graphic novel. That's a paperback book. And if you want to get really technical, Fantastic Four issue 236 had a Jack Kirby story that was actually repurposed from animation storyboards that Jack had done for the FF cartoon. And it was published without his permission and his knowledge. Really kind of a scummy move on Marvel's part. So we're not counting that either. So Machine Man #9 is the last true comic book Jack Kirby ever drew for Marvel Comics. The last sale for a 9.8 was $97 last December. And if you don't have a run of Machine Man 1 through 9, you should have one anyway. Every good person should have a run of Machine Man.
Wow, I didn't realize that that was his absolute last comic. So I'm not familiar with how he passed. Was it sometime soon
Oh,
after he started writing or
it,
drawing?
he was alive for years after that. He passed away in 1994, I believe, 93 or 94.
Okay.
He had a nice retirement. You know, he was still working in animation for a bit, but then he actually retired. And the last comic book he ever had a hand in drawing was Phantom Force #1 with Image in the
Oh,
early.
wow.
Yeah, so he kind of done a few things for that book. So if you're looking for the last comic book, it's Phantom Force. But me, a Marvel guy, a Jack Kirby Marvel guy,
Sure.
it's Machine Man #9.
Do you have any books signed by Jack?
By mistake, and I say that because I have bought books, opened it up, and it has that signature, Jack Kirby signature at the bottom of the first page where he always signed. He wouldn't sign the covers. He's always signed the bottom of the first page. I've gotten lucky and gotten one or two of those in my collecting career.
Oh, that's awesome.
Yeah, nothing I ever sought out. I just happened to buy it, and there it was. I think I've got a few books like that. I think I got like a Jim Starlin signature that way and a Chris Claremont. So yeah, weird how sometimes you just open up a book and there's a signature.
Yeah.
Wow.
I got a John Byrne signature that same way.
Oh, all right. That is going to wrap it up for us until our bonus episode later this week. Follow us on Facebook and Instagram at Bronze and Modern Gods. Like this video, subscribe. You know the deal. We appreciate you guys. Leave us a comment. Tell us what you want to hear about. And we will see you next time. Thanks, Richard.
Thank you, John. Everybody stay safe.